Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us in the innovation track here. Hopefully some of you were here yesterday when we went through some pretty cool topics looking at the core platform, the focus on the cloud. We spent some time looking at things like Studio X, and we also talked about AI skills and AI fabric. Today we also have some pretty interesting topics. So we're going to start the day off by exploring the plan and measure stages more deeply, digging into process understanding and our new insights offering. Then we're going to spend some time on the engage topic and look at UiPath apps, what that is all about and how you build long-running workflows and the task inbox and things like that. And then we'll finish the session off with a view on attended automation and kind of pivoting on that vision of a robot for every person. So with no further ado, I'll introduce the AI team to come up and kick it off with process understanding and insights. So I'd like to bring to the stage Eric. Thank you, Eric.
Just click over here. Thank you, thank you. Can everyone hear me? There we go. So first of all, thank you so much, everybody, for coming to the session today. Thank you for coming to the conference, and I hope you found it very interesting and you saw a lot of insightful stuff over the past couple of days. As Craig's mentioned, today we're going to be talking about, based on some of the announcements that you saw, how you can scientifically plan and measure your automation strategy. Before we get into it, I just want to show a couple of data points here. This is from a survey from The Economist, and I want to draw your attention to the point on the right side of the screen. 84% of companies now involve the C-suite in determining their automation strategy. And what this means is, RPA and automation has gone from this innovative project to this very strategic project. And when your CEO is involved in your project, they're going to ask you two questions, probably more, but at least two specific questions. The first is, what's your plan, and how did you come up with your plan? And the second question is, how are you going to measure and show your results? So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how you can plan to understand the processes in your organization, to prioritize and optimize them, and then accelerate the creation of your automations. And then back to that second question, we're going to talk about not only how you can measure the operational aspects of your RPA implementation, but how you can tie that to the business outcomes. So to kick things off, we'll talk about first the scientific planning aspect. I'd like to invite Christian Berg on stage. He is director of our Process Understanding AI. Christian, I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you very much, Eric. Scientifically plan. Thank you. So in my mind, any plan should inform what are we going to do, when and how, and what's the success criteria. And to help you plan your automation journey, we have 3 incredible new products. Before I go into the details of those, there are a couple of people I'd like to welcome to the UiPath team. Sasha from Snapshot. Sasha, where are you? And Christian and Roel and Rudy from Process Gold. Warm welcome. Super exciting to have you on the team. So what does it take to truly understand your current processes as is state? Well, you need to know what everyone in the organization does. And you need to know how that work isn't dependent on everyone else's work. It's a very tall ordeal. To solve this, we have Explorer Enterprise to focus on task mining, to capture all the computer-mediated front-end manual steps. It's all the things that are still manual that we do as part of these processes. And we have Process Gold to give us the back-end perspective and to explain to us how do these different teams depend on one another, how do these teams help a value chain and a data flow from A to Z. And also Process Gold gives us insights. How does this fit with our existing automations? So I'm going to cover these in more details one at a time. So we start with Explorer Enterprise. It's a centrally deployed, scalable solution for that front-end discovery. And I think scalable is important here because one of the key challenges is that prioritization step. And prioritization becomes exponentially more valuable when we consider a bigger whole. It starts off with an administrator who invites users to participate in the project. The users then receive an email which gives them access to an application where they can either define or confirm a set of whitelisted applications. The application then sits in the background without affecting their productivity in any way for a week or two and captures the work that they do. The administrator then triggers the central analysis, the central AI engine that identifies and groups that work into distinct tasks and processes. They then receive these results as a list sorted by an estimated RPA fitness and can then click in on any one of these to validate that, to get additional details about it, to see whether opportunities to redesign and optimize it. Process Gold, on the other hand, accesses all those back-end systems where you have event logs that tell the story about how these data flows work and how those processes come together. With a rich set of visualizations, you're able to bring all this together. You're able to bring the front-end information that you captured with Explorer Enterprise together with that back-end high-level view. And you're able to prioritize your processes, as well as find redesign and optimization opportunities. So what does it take to prioritize and build a business case for automation? Well, to get the complete picture, you really need both of these components. So you need Explorer Enterprise that exactly captures how often is something done, by whom, how long does it take. And you need Process Gold to understand the context of that task. Who are the end users? Who are the stakeholders? Is this the bottleneck in this process? What will be the impact on the overall throughput time when I automate this step and make it more efficient? Will that decrease my overall throughput time, or am I optimizing something which is already better than the existing bottleneck in that process? So it really is a case where 1 + 1 = 3, and there are very strong synergies between these. So if Explorer Enterprise and Process Gold help you discover, identify, and define your processes, you can then use Explorer Expert to empower your subject matter experts to capture any additional insights about how they execute these today. Another common benefit of doing this work with Explorer Enterprise and Process Gold is that you discover the best practices for these processes and tasks. That means that you know which users to ask for those gold snippets that can make their colleagues more productive. Explorer Expert is a very easy to use tool that any one of your subject matter experts can download. And they can then either start by directly recording how they would go about performing a task, or they can start with a simple flow diagram to emphasize the business logic that dictates which path to take through that task. In both of these cases, they can then annotate this documentation with additional insights, and they can modify and edit the screenshots that are captured automatically as part of that capture. They can highlight and call out things and all of this in a very standardized way so that you have a single look and feel to all of your process documentation. And also, I shouldn't forget, you can export these captured processes both as PDDs using either the built-in templates, or you can customize and create your own ones. And also, you can customize. You can also export this to UiPath Studio as a workflow. So, in summary, the three tools together have the opportunity to help you understand, prioritize, and optimize your automation journey in an accelerated way. With that, I'd like to pass the microphone over to Harish to talk about how we then measure the impact of these automations. Thank you.
Can you hear me okay? Cool. All right. Thank you all for coming. My name is Harish, and I'm the product lead for Insights. I have a few slides that I'm going to quickly walk you through, and then I have a demo as well. And I want to show you some of the features that you saw on stage yesterday. But in addition to that, I have some interesting features that you may not have seen as well. So I'd like to walk you through that. And if time permits, then we can build a dashboard, and I can show you how easy it is to do that. So the way we look at insights is essentially the convergence of both the operations and the business. So from an operations standpoint, you might look at how you can measure the utilization of your robots, the efficiency of your processes, the different errors and exceptions that might be causing your automations to perform suboptimally, potentially. And you might have different tools and products to do that today, like Elasticsearch and Kibana and Tableau and so on. And from a business standpoint, you might be interested in tracking how do I quantify all of the benefits that I'm accruing from an automation standpoint, and how do I do that in terms of the time saved, in terms of dollars, in terms of like key process outcomes. So for example, if you've automated a process like invoice processing, then you may want to track how many invoices are my robots able to process today versus what it was done manually in the past, or the number of receipts processed or customers onboarded. So you can set your own business outcomes and how close you are towards achieving those outcomes from a business standpoint. So essentially, it's about how these two come together, and you can create these kind of synergies between operations and business and think about this from a holistic standpoint. So Insights attempts to bring these two key stakeholders together across a common interface and have that presented in an easy-to-use manner, all within the part of the orchestrator. So in terms of how you get started, the first step is obviously deploying and setting it up. The process of deploying and setting it up, we've tried to simplify that greatly by making it part of the orchestrator. We look at orchestrator as a central control plane for managing and scheduling jobs across your robots. So it's not just about providing visibility through insights, but acting on those insights. So you can take actions based on what you see your robots, what types of jobs your robots are executing, and so on. And in terms of the value and features, the features are essentially across both these dimensions, across an operational and a business standpoint. So you can track a lot of the outcomes, such as what are my processes doing, how are my queues doing, how are my robots doing, and all these are quantified based on different data points and KPIs that are provided pre-configured and as dashboards that automatically turn on the moment you import it. And from a business standpoint, you can also build your own custom dashboards and assign it to different business stakeholders in your organization. And you can have that divided across processes, across departments, across teams, and any level of customization, essentially. So the two example dashboards that you're seeing on your right are just ways to sort of seed ideas in your mind in terms of how you'd like to build this. But in addition to pre-configured dashboards, you also get customizable dashboards. So a quick summary of all the features, and I'll show you some of these features as part of the demo as well. It's easy to set up. It's an add-on from the orchestrator, so when you upgrade your orchestrator and turn on analytics, some of the pre-configured dashboards should show up. We also heard that alerting and configuring situational awareness essentially is an important criteria from a lot of our customers. So we want to provide alerting as a framework to achieve that. So you can set alerts. You can set the types of conditions you want for those alerts. You can also set the different channels that these alerts should be received across, either through Slack or email or messaging and so on. And you can also have these alerts to be configured to automatically flag the moment there is an anomalous activity. So if there's a sudden spike in the errors in your exceptions, or if there's a sudden drop in utilization or accuracy, then you can get alerted based on those types of conditions as well. Dynamic dashboards, something I just spoke about, and machine learning is a very key aspect about everything that we do here at UiPath. So ML is going to be, as a feature, it's going to be embedded as part of the Insights product, and it's going to manifest itself in many different ways. So if you recall the example that we showed on stage, it was about how you can forecast utilization for your robots. So oftentimes you might wonder how do I allocate jobs to my robots in a much more intelligent manner based on the predicted demand, based on the anticipated activity in the next few days or weeks or months and so on. So using the forecasting functionality, you can actually track the utilization of your robots, and you can schedule jobs based on the next few days or hours or weeks. And in addition to forecasting and the anomaly detection, which is part of the alerting, you also have the ability to get textual summaries from your visuals. So it's not just about dashboarding, where dashboards might tell you part of the story, but it's also about the insights that's behind those dashboards. And if you want to convey that insights through a textual summary, you can do that through a narrative feature, and I'll show you how you can enable that as well. And finally, you also want to take these insights and you want to share it broadly across your organization. As a COE leader, maybe you want to share it with your team, you want to share it with other departments, you want to share it with the execs. So the sharing is a key component as well from Insights, and you can do that either through a link that you can copy paste, which if the users are authenticated, they can access directly the dashboard that they want to, or you can do that through a PDF export and have that PDF document attached to an email and schedule how the report should be received in a regular interval, like in a daily basis or a weekly basis or monthly basis or what have you. All right. So let's switch over to a quick demo. So I have the slide open here because I wanted to walk through each of these features and how it manifests itself in the product. So I might have to log into the orchestrator. So this is where once you turn analytics on, it would appear in your orchestrator. And we have some pre-configured dashboards, like you get access to robots, processes, queues, and also some of the summarized metrics across your operations and your business. And some of this data will appear based on the fact that we ingest a lot of your orchestrator logs and also potentially your historical logs, right? You might have this data that's stored for a really long time. So we want to provide you a mechanism to warm start your analytics. So it's not just about the data from here on out, but also some of the data that you have recorded from the last few months or even years potentially. So how do we go back and fetch that data, make it part of the analytics backend, and surface that through these dashboards? All right, so let me show you an example of this. So there are two permissions for Orchestrator for the analytics dashboards. As a viewer, you get access to only viewing the dashboard. You can do some basic filtering on the dashboards. You could maybe change the dates, change the weeks, and so on. You can play around with the dashboard a little bit, but you can't delete it, you can't edit it, and you can't modify it. So for that, you would need the designer permission. So typically, it's somebody from the IT side who would like to configure these dashboards on an ongoing basis who would get those kind of permissions. So you can change how these permissions need to be set from within the orchestrator and automatically have that propagated to analytics. Now, in terms of let me switch over to so when you click on the top right pencil button, you get the ability to edit these dashboards. So it launches a portal. And if you want to, so these are some of the summarized metrics that you get automatically. And if you would like to set an alert on the success rate, then you can add this to Pulse. Pulse is another feature, is an alerting feature that comes with the product. And you can have this SLA to be, say, if anytime it goes below 95%, have this alert sent to the users or groups or members of your team, and have them receive these alerts through email, mobile, and Slack. So this is a static alert. But if you set this to automatic, then every time there's a spike in your errors, every time there's a spike in your exceptions, or every time there's a sudden drop in your accuracy, then you get alerted. So it also, this product also gets intelligent in terms of recognizing what those spikes mean and how to alert you based on that activity. Now, behind every dashboard, there's a story, and let me show you how you can enable that story for each of the visuals. So this is a business dashboard, which sort of summarizes the time saved, the dollar saved. You can set goals for the year or for the quarter, and you can see how close you are towards achieving that goal. So in this case, it looks like you've got about 66 days to hit that goal, which is achievable. And you can also track the productivity of the robot hours. Now, the way you enable the story is by enabling the narrative function. So as you can see here, you get a quick textual summary of what is going on with this dashboard, right? So it says that it looks like you've got about $380,000 worth of savings across your 35 processes, and the top 5 processes account to close to 25% of your overall money saved. So in addition to this visual chart, you can also invoke the text behind this. Now, another interesting thing that I want to show you is how you can sort of socialize this across different users in your company. So we've built a simple chatbot interface, which you can use to send to other users. So you can ask questions to Insights. So you could say, for example, how many hours have I saved per process? So this gives you the insights along with the chart. And maybe you're interested in understanding the same for the money saved as well. So this insights is essentially coming from the narrative that you just enabled here. Now, in addition to this, you can also slice and dice this data based on how your users interact with the system, which gets intelligent over time. We call this the adaptive insights feature. So if you want to slice utilization by robot, for example, then you can break this down by the hours saved. So you could see that the new hire setup, this is an HR department, which has a bunch of HR processes that we've automated. So you could see that the new hire setup process has the most utilization relative to all the other processes. And you could see which robots are the most busiest and what processes are they busy with. So these insights is something which gets is what is rendered in a much more intelligent manner. And it gets better and enriched over time based on how your users interact with the system. So as you define your KPIs, the breakdowns of those KPIs is automatically rendered from the backend. And if you want to build something, it looks like I've got 35 seconds left, so I'll try to do that really fast. So let's take this process, interview scheduler process. Interview scheduler. Okay. So you get a blank canvas, and you can go to your operations dashboard, And maybe you want to pull, I'm going to clear this. Maybe you want to pull the robot utilization to this. Maybe you want to pull the robot productivity and the robots themselves. So these are the three. Come on. This has never happened in the past. Oops. Okay, so I'm gonna. So I can't seem to launch this dashboard for. Oh, I can. Okay, cool. So this is the utilization for the interview scheduler process. It's very easy for you to filter this process. You can filter this dashboard based on the process name. Select. And all these metrics get adjusted to this process. Now, if you want to look at which robots are running the process, then you can slice and dice the data based on the process. So let's take an example. Okay, it's really slow, and I don't want to eat up the time of the second speaker. So, but you get the idea. It's pretty easy to customize these dashboards. You can slice and dice the data that the way you want to, and you can also share this pretty easily with other users by exporting this as PDF or sending it as an email attachment. All right, if you'd like to learn more, then we are at the booth, so please come and find us, and we'd love to chat with you. Thank you.